Hello class, my name is Michael Schilling, and today I'm going to be doing a presentation for you. The presentation will be Precepting a Difficult Athletic Training Student, or Scenario 1 that we found in our handout. My name is Michael Schilling, as I said before. This is for ATR 710 Athletic Training Pedagogical Studies for Dr. Jim Aves' class. So to start out, I just want to give you a little background of what an athletic training preceptor is. They are responsible for the instruction and assessment of athletic training students. That was from Nottingham. A preceptor provides formal instruction and evaluation of clinical proficiencies in the classroom, laboratory, or in educational experiences through direct supervision of athletic training students. What does this mean? These are the people that are on the front line with them. The preceptors are the people that are responsible to train these athletic training students and show them what it's like to be an athletic trainer. It is important that these preceptors show them what it's really like to be an athletic trainer. I know from being a preceptor and from my ATEP that it is important to develop these skills at a young, early age. My cousin is an athletic trainer as well, and we did not go to the same school. We were held to different standards at times, and it was very frustrating. He was 2 years younger than me, and I was required to stay behind, miss breaks, miss different activities that my friends were doing at school. But it gave me the realization of what athletic training is. Now you move on to having a career as an athletic trainer, you go on to the college level in particular, and those are the things you're missing at home. You're missing Christmas break, you're missing getting the big holidays off. Watch the TV, watch any football game, any basketball game, they're all going on the holidays. You don't get to spend this time with your families as you would think. Now, going off on that a little bit, the scenario that I'm going to be talking about is you have a student who is intelligent, skilled, and meets all the academic and clinical standards, but challenges you as a clinical preceptor, as well as the clinical coordinator with poor attendance, tardiness, violation of dress code, and minimal effort. So what we're going to talk about is what do we do to get involved? What is the situation that we need to take care of as a teacher? And different ways that we can go about this process. I actually chose this scenario because I had seen this with one of my classmates when I was in my ATEP. He showed up to a game not dressed in the appropriate clothing, was very disarray, went out the night before, was late multiple times, and it almost cost him his graduation date. So I wanted to research different ways that this could have been avoided by the preceptor and try to avoid this happening. I just threw a little picture in there too for you guys, try and not keep it too boring. So, according to Carlson et al., it's important to raise the issue at the time and its impact on the precepting process. So what this means is it's important that we don't let this prolong, we don't procrastinate addressing the situation. If you're late once and you have an excuse is one thing. Multiple times it becomes an issue. My coaches used to say, early is on time is late, and late is unacceptable. That's what I kind of live by now, especially as an athletic trainer. We're the first people there, the last people to leave. We need to bring this onto our students. And if they're not going to do that, then it might not be the profession for them. Trust is also an important aspect of clinical precepting and for being the athletic training student. You have to trust your preceptor that they're teaching you the correct values, the correct methods to do different aspects, not only just the taping techniques, the evaluation process, but trust that they're showing you how to deal with different types of athletes. Now, as a preceptor, you have to be able to trust your student. If you cannot trust your student to deal with situations the correct way, you can't let go of the rope. You can't give them more leeway and slack and be able to do what they need to do to learn. Some of the best experiences that I had as a student were when the leash was let go of. When I was allowed to tape by myself without people standing over your shoulder at every twist and turn. I know that Katie has since changed the rules that you're not allowed to travel without your preceptor going with you, and you're not also allowed to be alone with the athletes. But allowing the precepting student to have some more slack, do the entire evaluation, and then rerun through the evaluation is a huge learning tool. Poor behavior and challenging the preceptor make it difficult for the preceptor to trust the care that will be given by the athletic training student. This is going back to what I was just saying. Not being able to trust the student won't let you let them go, won't let them provide the care that they need to have before graduating. According to Carr et al., preceptors and athletic training students desire different characteristics from each other. The student and the preceptor themselves have different wants and different needs from each other. On the next slide, we'll go over some of these. What do the athletic training students desire? They desire modeling behavior and feedback, prompt feedback to be exact, while the preceptors desire the student showing initiative and good communication skills. One of the biggest things that you learn as an athletic trainer is you have different communication skills between the athlete and the athletic trainers themselves. You have to be able to break this down. You have to earn their trust, earn the athlete's trust. When you show up in a disarray, when you show up late, when you don't show up to things at all, you can't gain these athletes' trust. If you tell an athlete that you're going to be there at 7 o'clock, you better be there at 6:45. The athlete depends on the athletic trainer. They become familiar with the way that they tape. They become familiar with the different stretching techniques that you use, especially when you have that continuing care. If the student can't show that, then there's going to be problems. The athletes aren't going to go to them with their issues, and it causes more work for the others around them. The student desires the modeling behavior. The preceptor needs to show up at the appropriate time with the appropriate dress. And this is one of the things that wasn't covered in the situation. But I'm assuming that the preceptor is showing and demonstrating this proper behavior. If they are not, then and they're just reflecting what they're seeing from the preceptor, that's where the issue is. Or even having this behavior shown by previous preceptors can be an issue. When reading some of the articles, Peer takes an approach of what he calls a principle approach. And this is what the preceptor can do for the athletic training student. What principles are is items such as cooperation among the athletic training student and giving prompt feedback, discussing what the issues are, and if there are any issues at all, being able to have a open communication with them, knowing that just because you're talking about something doesn't mean it's an issue in general, but it could turn into one. Let's go over some remedies for this situation that we talked about earlier. The big thing that I've found would be discussing this situation with the athletic training student. Find out, are there issues occurring at home or at school? Are they having issues with you as a preceptor? Are there struggles with specific athletes? And is the preceptor asking too much of the student? Going over these vital issues can make a big difference. If there are issues occurring at home or at the athletic training student's school, are you causing some of these issues as a preceptor? Again, going back to modeling behavior, if we're not demonstrating the proper attire, the proper way to do things, then that could be the whole issue in itself. So go back and look at what you're doing as a preceptor. Are athletes giving them trouble? Do they not have their trust? Do they just not like the sports that they're dealing with or athletic training in general? All of these things could lead to a athletic training student rebelling against you. However, they are showing the shining aspect of things in the classroom, which gives you the choice that some people are hands-on learners while others are not, but they're showing these clinical skills, which makes it an even more difficult situation. If you determine that it is something that the student's just taking themselves, discuss the reason that these rules are in place. The rules are put in place to maintain the standards of athletic training profession. We are an allied health profession. We're trying to hold ourselves to higher standards. That's why we're going to the difficult task of requiring a master's. It's to prove a point not just to the athletes, but to other health professions. If you show up to one of the games and you are dressed in your proper polo and khakis, as most athletic trainers dress as, and then the doctor shows up in a suit and tie, and your athletic training student is in shorts and a t-shirt, it doesn't demonstrate that respect from the doctors, from the different people, even the opposing athletic training staff. We need to be dressed, we need to show up on time. Athletic trainers must be held to higher standards because they're allied health professionals, as I spoke about before. Is the preceptor relaying the proper information and being a proper model for the athletic training student? I'm going to go over modeling a little bit more, but this is one of the largest aspects that I've seen, and with doing the research that they talk about is demonstrating the proper attire, the proper methods for the athletic training students as the preceptor. Initiate a solution. Initiate holding this student responsible for things. Do not allow the athletic training student to have the contact with the athlete. If they show up late, if they don't show up at all, or if they show up just as a slob, not dressed correctly, send them back. Don't allow them on the field. Don't allow them in the athletic training room. Take control of the situation. Athletic training students are responsible to meet a minimum number of hours or are graded on their performance in the athletic training room. Not allowing them to have contact with the athletes will diminish this grade. It will deteriorate this grade, and it could cost them their graduation day. It's taking action before it turns into a problem. But if you were too late to the situation, take charge. It's a difficult thing to do. It's hard to do, especially if you're short-staffed. But you need to take control of a situation before it gets bad. Another way to go about it is to provide the athletic training students with spontaneous or random critiques of the performance, discussing the issues that are occurring, taking them and talking to them about these issues, having random grading sessions where you take them and have them tape an ankle or have them do an evaluation of a student, keeping them off guard, not letting them get too comfortable with their situation, because they are a student, they are there to learn. If the issues continue after the discussion, it may be time to contact the athletic training coordinator. If the athletic training students program to determine the discipline of the students, it's important that we contact the coordinator if it does become an issue, before suspending them, before doing something drastic there, we need to make sure that the athletic training student knows the impact that this could have on their career and their education. One of the other ways to do this is dodge at all states is by mentoring. Well, he defines mentoring as displaying excitement for the field of athletic training, providing the athletic training student with an accurate representation of professional practice, actively communicating with the athletic training students, and providing them with a hands-on learning experience. Love what you do. It's important as an athletic trainer that you love your field, you love what you do, because you're going to spend a lot of time doing it. The preceptor could use the reciprocal learning approach to gain more knowledge into the athletic training students by discussing aspects that the preceptor has learned from the athletic training student. Turn the tables. Tell them what they're teaching you, because I know from experience that you're going to learn something from the student. As an athletic trainer, no matter how long you've been in the field, things are changing. Things are occurring at a rapid pace, and you're not going to know everything. These guys are going to school. I read a statistic once, and I don't know where I read it, so it could be wrong, but by the time you graduate from an allied health profession, in those 4 years, the stuff you learned in the first 2 are already changing. So, what does that mean? Take what they are saying and research it. Go out. If they say that you're wrong about something and you know you're right, then you're probably right. But there may be things that are changing that you're not aware of. Go out and research what they're saying. Mentoring is the biggest aspect of being a preceptor. I can't tell you the teachers that I had in college for random classes. I can name every single one of my preceptors. I can name every single one of my athletic training teachers because I treated them as a mentor. If they come out and they teach you the proper way to do things and take that loving care of and passion of athletic training into their teaching, it becomes a whole different ballgame. Next, we're going to go over some of the student learning outcomes that I developed for this. Identify the appropriate teaching strategy to overcome a difficult athletic training student, and have the ability to devise a strategy to overcome a difficult athletic training student. So identifying the appropriate teaching strategy, would it be by mentoring them? Would it be by taking them aside and using a discussion? And how would you do this? When would you do this? It is important to have a proper student learning outcome to be able to determine the appropriate approach to take with the athletic training student. Each student will have a different response or a different reason why they were acting in a specific way. No 2 students are going to be alike. You could have the same situation with both students, and they could blame you. One student could blame you for what they're doing, and the other student could have something going on at home. So taking each student's response is very important. Discussing how we're going to go about teaching the student, how we're going to go about changing what they're doing, and discussing why we're doing this. It's not a dictatorship, but it is at the same time. It's your athletic training room, but they have to know why you're doing something, especially if there is a large reason. We're trying to be professional. We're trying to show up on time. There are going to be times that's not something that can occur, but teaching and letting the students know that this is why we're doing it can go a long way. Having the knowledge to devise a strategy to deal with each student on an individual basis. It's just like I was talking about before. Each student is individual. Being able to use our strategy to help each student goes a long way. and utilize the research. Take advantage of the resources available to deploy the proper strategy on an athletic training student. I went out, and when I was researching, it says we had to do 5 citations, 5 articles. There are hundreds out there on how to help and how to change the outcomes of a student. Go out there, research. If you don't know, if it's not working, yes, there are many people out there that will help you. You can talk to the coordinators of the student's school. You can talk to different athletic trainers, and each of them are going to have a different opinion on how to deal with something like this. So it's important to take all of them and place them into one to develop a strategy. In conclusion, the preceptor is one of the most important and influential people in the athletic training student's career and their career choice. As I was talking about before, this is where they learn what they want to do. If they're not ready to devote themselves 100% to athletic training, then this may not be the time, this may not be the job for them. When dealing with an athletic training student, deploy the proper strategy to help to shape the student. Show the athletic training student the true colors of athletic training. Don't try and sugarcoat it. Show them what it is, what it involves, and have a plan for each student and stick to it. Don't let them mold you. Don't let them change you. Each student, you may have to change a little bit to get them to develop the correct skills. Some people are hands-on learners. Some people like different lectures, different visuals, and some people do better out of the book. So you may have to learn a little bit, but have a plan. Stick to it. Don't just go into something blind. It's important that as an athletic training preceptor, you develop the skills for the future for these athletic training students. Thanks for listening. I hope this helped a little bit. That's my puppy right there. That's Caden. He's pretty happy. So if you have any questions, let me know. Feel free, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. There are the citations. Thanks.